Our hands are an intricate part of our lives. They're involved in almost every activity we perform. Grasping, lifting, pushing, carrying, moving, touching, both on and off the job. Because they're involved in virtually everything we do, we can sometimes take them for granted. Hands are often in the forefront of the specific task being performed, and are thus exposed to more risk and potential hazards than other parts of the body. No matter what your job, your hands are a key part of your ability to perform it. Though hand injuries usually do not grab headlines and are not typically fatal in nature, they are one of the most frequently occurring types of injuries in the workplace. In this program, we will discuss the different types of hand injuries that can occur, how to recognize common hazards found in the workplace, and preventive measures you can take to protect your hands. Why is this topic important? We use our hands constantly. A disabling hand injury can have a dramatic effect on your quality of life. A hand injury can impact not only your ability to perform your job, but daily routines as well. A hand injury can occur in a second, but the social, financial, and emotional effects can last a lifetime. Can you imagine going through life without the full use of your hands? According to government and industry statistics, hand injuries represent nearly a third of all reported workplace incidents. Approximately 75% of industrial injuries that cause partial disability involve the hands. Over 16 million individuals seek emergency care each year for hand injuries. The human body is an engineering marvel. Our hands consist of 27 bones, ligaments, muscles, tendons, nerves, blood vessels, skin, and nails. Working in unison, they provide strength and dexterity, which enables us to perform routine tasks and accomplish precision movements. Because of their tremendous versatility, hands are exposed and susceptible to many types of injuries. These include strains and sprains from excessive force, excessive repetitive motion, awkward posture, and contact with surface conditions. Skin irritation from contact and exposure to hazardous substances. Burns from contact or exposure to electricity, chemicals, and hot substances. Punctures from tools and other sharp objects. Lacerations, cuts ranging from minor to major if tendons or nerves are severed. Fractures, broken bones from being crushed or falling. And amputations, resulting in a loss of part or all of the hand. If not reported and treated promptly and properly, hand injuries, even minor ones, can develop further complications. The key to hand injury prevention is you. Safety is a personal responsibility. You are responsible and accountable for your safety and that of your coworkers. Hand injuries are preventable. It requires a respect for the hazard and complete commitment on your part. You need to be conscious of where your hands are at all times. Most hand injuries are minor. The consequences of coming in contact with a hot object may be strong enough to change or control your actions for a couple of weeks, but in 6 to 8 months, will it be forgotten? What about removing the guard on this piece of equipment to unclog a jam? If you lost a finger, would it change your respect for the potential hazard? A hand injury occurs in the workplace every 32 seconds. Hand injuries are not an acceptable fact of life. They are preventable. Hand injury prevention begins with a recognition and respect for the hazards. Because we use our hands so frequently, we can start to take them for granted and not truly respect the potential risk we place them in. Almost anything can be a hazard, including this simple door if your hands are in the wrong place at the wrong time. Make it a habit to continuously assess the risks for every task you perform. Common hazards in the workplace can include sharp objects, hand and power tools, hot objects, pinch points, chemicals, energy sources, moving equipment, and machinery. Let's look at some of the more common causes of hand injuries and preventive measures you can take to ensure your safety. Believe it or not, many hand injuries involve your feet. Workers who lose their balance, slip on surfaces, or trip over hazards can sustain wrist and hand injuries. Poor housekeeping is a contributing cause to these types of injuries. Proper housekeeping is an essential element in a safe work environment. Hand and power tools, which can include hammers, screwdrivers, drills, chisels, knives, wrenches, and more, are involved in many hand injuries. The greatest hazard posed by hand tools results from the improper use and maintenance of the tool. Use the tool only for its designed purpose. Make sure they're clean and in working order. When necessary, hold the work in a vise or clamp instead of your hand. Pull, don't push a wrench handle for more leverage. Keep jaw teeth, cutters, and blades sharp for better results. Be aware of the position of your hands at all times when using hand tools. One of the most common causes of hand injuries is blunt trauma. This usually occurs around machinery and moving equipment when established procedures are not followed or are bypassed. Because of the weight and force often involved, the consequences can be severe. Respect the equipment you work around. You may think you are doing your company a favor increasing productivity by rushing or taking shortcuts, but the risk of injury wipes all that out. Know where your hands are at all times. Keep them away from moving parts of machinery and points of operation. Make sure guards are in place and used. Report any missing guards to your supervisor. Isolate energy sources and lockout equipment before placing your hands in potential points of contact. Thousands of workers are injured each day due to failure to properly lock out and tag out equipment. Don't wear gloves, loose clothing, or jewelry that can get caught in equipment and pull your hands in. It is important to maintain your concentration and focus at all times when working around moving equipment and machinery. When properly selected and utilized, gloves can help reduce hand injuries. The wrong-sized glove can cause extra stress on the hands. The wrong type can provide a false sense of protection, and used in the wrong situation can create a safety hazard. Be familiar with the type of tasks you perform and the substances you may be exposed to. Gloves can provide protection against sharp objects, electrical burns, hot objects, chemical exposure, and environmental elements. Different types of gloves provide different types of protection. It is important you know the purpose and limitations of the gloves you use. Once again, gloves should not be used around equipment and machinery where they can get caught and pull your hand in. Inspect gloves before each use for wear, cracks, and other signs of defects that may inhibit the protection they provide you. Use the right glove for the chemical hazards you're exposed to. The container label and material safety data sheet can provide valuable information for proper selection. To remove contaminated gloves, use your thumb and forefinger to roll down the top of one of the gloves an inch or two. Next, remove the other glove. Use your bare hand touching only the non-contaminated rolled-down portion to remove the other glove. It is a good practice to wash your hands even after gloves have been used. Musculoskeletal disorders, MSDs, also referred to as repetitive motion injuries, are caused by excessive force, excessive repetition, and awkward posture. These types of injuries are beneath the skin to the muscles, tendons, and ligaments of the hands and wrists. Common symptoms can include pain, numbness, tingling sensation, swelling, and tenderness to the touch. MSDs are not the result of a single event like other hand injuries, but are the result of cumulative exposure to the risk factors mentioned earlier. One of the more commonly known MSDs is carpal tunnel syndrome. The name is derived from 8 bones in the wrist that form a tunnel-like structure about the size of a dime. The tunnel contains the median nerve, which reaches sensory cells in the hand, and flexor tendons, which control finger movement. When the fingers move, the flexor tendons slide back and forth. Excessive flexing, extension, and bending of the wrist can cause the flexor tendons to swell and apply pressure to the median nerve. Preventive measures to reduce your exposure to musculoskeletal disorder risk factors include proper tool selection, proper posture, and work organization. Select tools that reduce the required force and awkward wrist positions. The wrist should be a natural extension of the forearm. Avoid contact with the edges of hard surfaces. When possible, organize your work environment and tasks to eliminate awkward posture and excessive repetition. As mentioned earlier, hand injuries are one of the most frequently occurring injuries in the workplace. Successful hand injury prevention requires your commitment, participation, and communication. Most hand injuries occur when we stop thinking about safety, when we don't accurately assess the risk, when we take shortcuts and circumvent procedures, when we don't respect the potential hazards, or when we lack awareness of the position of our hands. Safety is a personal responsibility. Understand and respect the potential hazards. Assess the risks for the tasks you perform. Select the proper tools and protective equipment for the tasks you perform. Inspect them before each use and use them only for their intended purpose. Remember to use extra precaution and maintain your focus when working around equipment. Lock and tag it out before removing guards or placing your hands in the point of operation. Be aware of where your hands are at all times. Communicate unsafe conditions and report all injuries to your supervisor. You have a choice. Don't compromise your safety to save a few minutes. Respect the risk and keep your hands out of harm's way. Injuries occur because your hands were in the wrong place